Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan.
Tabe salamat lingunaltai, salam sahujud karang dembalempang. Adil katalino bacuramin kasaruga basengat kajubata.
Harus.
Good morning, the honorable panel of judges, our respected opposition team, and everyone present in this room.
We are the National Schools Debating Championship team for SMA Negeri 3 Palangka Raya.
On this very special occasion, the motion we are about to debate is, this House believes that social media has done more harm than good to democracy.
And on this motion, we proudly stand as the government team.
Greetings, panels, timekeeper, and all the audiences present here today. I am Arifa Lutfia Ulfa, stand proudly as the first speaker of the government team. Before I begin the debate for today, I would like to restate the motion for today. We stand firmly for the motion. This House believes that social media has done more harm than good to the democracy. With that being said, I will start my argument in 3, 2, and 1. Panels, it is fundamentally impossible to hold a rational dialogue with someone who's fast asleep, right? Yet that is exactly the tragedy of democracy today under the rule of social media. Now, citizens in the status quo are trapped and isolated by the algorithms, then completely blinded to the objective truth. Therefore, our stance is clear that we believe that social media has crossed its tipping point where its structural design actively cannibalizes the foundational values of democracy. Proud to propose, we establish our framings through 3 main points of setups. First, on our concession, our set of the House does not wish to ban the social media. We acknowledge its utility for entertainment and commerce. However, our metric today is strictly judging its impact on the democratic framework. No matter how vast the benefits are, it becomes completely meaningless when the political foundation protecting them is corrupted after all. Secondly, on the essence of democracy, the core pillar of democracy itself is a healthy public deliberation where it requires citizens to look outside of their filtered bubbles and analyze logic facts. But the third point, on the architecture of social media, platforms like X, TikTok, and Instagram utilize the hyper-personalized algorithms to maximize user watch time to sell the targeted advertisements. Why this matters? This matters because our current status quo is now plagued by the extreme political polarization in modern elections because people cannot accept the reality outside of their personalized feeds anymore due to the algorithmically manufactured echo chambers. We map the 3 colliding stakeholders here. A are the tech monopolies who's trapped in a lucrative business model where polarization equals the engagement for them and profit for them. And B, the political manipulators and the buzzers who exploit these algorithmic loopholes and deploying cyber armies to manufacture outrage and viral disinformation for us. And the C, the ultimate victim of all of these are the citizens or the voters who deny objective truth and then turning our democratic process into toxic tribalism. This creates a vicious cycle where corporate greed weaponizes the political ambition to destroy the public sanity. And then, hence, clash of today's debate is undeniable, panels, that democracy requires you to look outside of your bubbles, but social media algorithms are structurally engineered to trap you inside of it. Therefore, we posit 2 burdens of proofs here. First, we will prove how the structural design of social media inherently destroys the public's capacity for rational deliberation. And second, we will demonstrate why this digital degradation is far more volatile and irreversible than traditional media like TV news or newspapers. Jumping into our first and main argument, how the algorithmic architecture locks the human mind and then destroys rational democratic choice. We bring you 2 layers of mechanization here. A, the incentivization of outrage, where these platforms profit from watch time, right? So algorithms prioritize engagement over truth by systematically serving the content that triggers the moral outrage of people. They amplify the short-form misinformations while burying the complex policy breakdowns, and users in the status quo are not given any rational incentives at all. And the B, the erasure of common ground, while traditional media that presents a single reality, like broadcasting or publishing presidential debate or reports, conversely on social media, if the algorithm will only fit the content that validates your biases and vice versa. This is how the echo chamber then phenomenon then is created after this. And what is the impact of all of this? It is the death of democratic consensus, and when that happens, social media has successfully rewired the human brain to reject the democracy itself. At the end of the day, marginal benefits that may be brought by the opposition cannot outweigh the harms caused by the structural design of social media itself. That's why we are proud to propose this motion. Thank you.
Good day, panels. My name is Jopano Rafael, and I am here to continue delivering the speech that was delivered by our first speaker. I will briefly begin my debate in 3, 2, 1. Panels, our position rests today on the fundamental truth that social media brings more harm than good to democracy. Now, panels, the opposition will most likely argue that social media gives everyone a fair voice, gives everyone increased participation, and exposes corruption. We agree that these benefits do exist, but our debate today is not about the fact that whether social media has benefits. It is whether about the fact that these benefits outweigh the structural harm it causes to democracy, and we will prove to you that they do not. Panels, democracy is not judged by how loud a platform can be. It is judged by whether or not the people can think clearly for themselves, trust the system, and make informed decisions. And on this standard, social media ultimately fails. And panels, let me paint you a picture. Imagine you are a citizen, open up your feed in the morning. You are reading politics. You think you are being informed. You think you are participating in democracy, but in reality, you are being filtered, fed, and framed. Because why? The algorithm does not care about you. The algorithm does not care about the truth. It cares about attention. It does not care about balance. It cares about engagement. It does not even care about the democracy itself. It cares about keeping you online instead. And panels, this is where our first argument arrives. Our first argument is that social media creates false perspective that narrows the way people see politics, because these platforms are designed to maximize watch time, content, or the agree with and emotionally react with, and over time, if they keep seeing this content, they stop seeing the other side. They stop having real disagreements. They stop seeing the bigger picture altogether. And once that happens, democracy becomes weaker, because democracy, panels, depend on citizens who can face different ideas and still think critically. And it is like living in a world full of mirrors. You constantly see the same picture over and over again. You see the same bias, the same perspective over and over again, the same day, and you think that your tiny world is the whole world itself. And panels, if social media traps citizens in narrow realities, then it harms democracy by destroying rational public debates. And once people are trapped, the manipulation will begin. And this is the second argument came in. And panels, social media becomes a playground for disinformation. Why? Politicians, cyber armies, and bad actors use social media structures to spread misinformation faster than the truth, because they understand that social media does not reward emotional content. They reward emotional content, not accurate content. So they weaponize outrage, fear, and shock. They post fake narratives, edited clips, misleading headlines, and coordinated propaganda. And because falsehood is usually more dramatic than fact, it spread first and it spread to passes. Because the opposition may likely argue that the truth may eventually come, but when the truth may come, the damage has already been done. So panels, so when misinformation is easier to spread than truth, social media is not only protecting democracy, it is poisoning it. And this is where the arguments get more serious. And not only that, the problem is not only people being misled, the problem is now people stop believing in the system altogether. And panels, for our last argument is that social media causes systematic democratic collapse, because social media can destroy public trust in election, institution, and democracy itself. Because why? Because when people are constantly exposed to mass manipulations, they begin to doubt everything. The votes, the results, the institution meant to withhold democracy itself. Because why? Once trust disappears, democracy does not only simply become weaker, it becomes unstable. A system cannot survive if citizens no longer believe it is real or fair. And panels, it is like a game. A game stops when all the players stop believing that the rules were real from the beginning. At that point, it's no longer meaningful. It is pure and utter chaos. So panels, yes, if social media is it is doing more harm than good at the deepest level. So yes, panels, social media may have some good, but the scale is not equal. The good is limited, the harm is structural, the good is occasional, the harm is constant. The good brings people together, but the harm divides, distorts, and breaks their trust in democracy entirely. And this is why we strongly proud and stand in this debate as the government team. Thank you.
I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Honorable panels and fellow debaters, I'm Desi, the third speaker of the government team. I have concluded our team's arguments into 3 steps. Step 1, the change. The algorithm's job is to keep you scrolling. More scrolling means more profit. So it learns what keeps you hooked, not with calm facts, not with balanced news, but anger works best, fear works best, content that makes you feel like I'm right and they are wrong works best. Then your feed fills up with your biases. Eventually, you stop seeing anything that challenges your views. This is the bubble. You live inside it without even knowing the walls are there. It also needs a feeling to keep you fired up. It attacks and demonizing the other side, handpicked to boil your blood. Social media doesn't isolate us from the opponents, but it shows them to us in their worst possible light. After months of this, you stop seeing them as human beings with different opinions. The change is designed to take normal disagreements and turns them into hatred or simply framing. Step 2, the manipulators. A cage with millions of people shorted into bubbles and designed to believe certain things. Who walks into the cage? Bad actors. You see, in the old days, when you wanted to mess with an election, you needed money, you need power, or maybe a TV station. Now, you only need a device and some fake accounts. That's it. The cost of breaking democracy has dropped to almost zero. The opposition might say misinformation has always existed. Panels, a campfire and a wildfire are both fire, but you don't agree they are the same thing. Before social media, a lie used to spread slowly. Now it reaches millions even before the truth puts on its shoes. The campfire has turned into something bigger, a wildfire. The manipulators exploit this perfectly. The algorithm already showed the target. So when an individual seeing the same thing, the brain whisper, sees 100 accounts are all saying the same thing, the brain whisper. If everyone is saying it, maybe it's real. But everyone is not saying it, but 5 buzzer with 100 of fake accounts are saying it. Step 3, the collapse. What happens when changed minds flooded with targeted lies or propaganda? An election happens. Observers and courts say it was fair. But millions still reject the result. Why? Because the bubbles spend months manipulating them, that the system was rigged. So when real result comes, they don't see loss but conspiracy coming true. Now imagine, every time a real institution says something, the bubble says the opposite. Over time, people stop believing anything. Opposition will tell you that social media gives people a voice. Whose voice? The voice of the troll, the voice of the buzzer, the voice of the liar. Democracy isn't just about having a voice, but having voice based on truth. Voice without truth is just a noise. The opposition might also say, but there are fact checkers, there are good journalists online. Panels, this is like saying we have ambulances to treat gunshot wounds while someone out there is selling machine guns. The presence of the cure does not justify the disease. When a lie reaches 5 million people, while the fact check only reaches 50,000, the damage is already done. The ambulance cannot keep up with the machine guns. Democracy needs a shared world to function. We can argue about solutions, but we must argue on basic facts. Social media burns that shared world to the ground. It replaces it with 1,000 separate realities designed by the algorithm and poisoned by the manipulators. We stand firm as the government team. With the motion, this House believes that social media has done more harm than good to democracy. Thank you. will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Honorable judges and respected debaters, I'm Desi, standing as the replay speech of government team. I will provide you reasons why our stances defeated the opposition whose house of cards has completely crumbled. The oppositions might talk about benefits of social media like giving people a voice, spreading information, and etc. We acknowledge this, but we would say that their benefits are drops of clean water in a poison well. Here is why. First, our harms attacks the very ground that democracy stands on, which are shared facts, mutual respect, and trust in the system. If this breaks, everything else breaks. The opposition's benefits sit on top of this ground that is attacked by our harms. Panels, a nice paint job doesn't save a house with a cracked foundation. The cracked foundation always matters more. Second, our harms are built into the system. Every user, every day, every country, the algorithm is always running. The changes are always hardening. The opposition's benefits are moments. Like a protest that succeeded, a corrupt official who got exposed, a community that found each other. Real moments, we don't deny them, of course. But panels, you don't judge a factory by its few good products or even by its best day. You judge it by what the machines are built to produce every single day. Apply this to social media. Third, when trust in democracy breaks, it doesn't snap back. When minds get radicalized, they don't just heal right away. And here is the killer point. The opposition must prove that democracy is on balance better with social media than without it. But panels, what if I tell you that their benefits are achievable through other democratic infrastructure? Like free and fair elections, for example, where citizens hold the power to throw out bad leaders. The benefits of social media, real as they are, however, it's replaceable. While on the other side, the damage is not. And what can be replaced cannot outweigh what cannot be replaced nor fixed. Panels, if the water supply is poison, it doesn't matter how many people have a nice glass to drink from. The whole thing is still poison. If the environment is poison, more voices just means more poison information. The opposition never explained how louder problems become solutions. Social media promised to connect us, it divided us. It promised to inform us, but it misled us. It promised to empower us, but it has left us vulnerable. Honorable panels and respected debaters, as we are nearing the end of this debate session, we have come to a conclusion that social media harms government's interests, which is trust, and we are proud to be affirmative. Thank you.
And by the end of this debate, I am Arifah Lutfia Ulfa.
I am Jopano Rafael Abdelau.
And I'm Desi.
And we are proud to be the government team.